Hey, my name is Mike Hagen. I'm with Visual Adventures, and I'm here today to show you a new product that I've been testing out from a company called Steadify. This is a tool, a camera support system actually, that attaches to your waist. And then right here is a hybrid monopod slash really heavy duty like selfie stick. And the idea is that you pull this up, you then lock it into place, and then you can support your camera. You support your camera like this, especially with long lens photography. Steadify has a Kickstarter campaign that's going on right now, and they sent me out a demo unit. So this is a pre-production unit, and they sent it out during the Kickstarter campaign so I could take a look at it and maybe see if I recommend it or not. If you go to Kickstarter.com and you enter their terms Steadify, it'll take you right to their page. And if that doesn't work, I've got the link down below here. You can copy and paste that link into your browser and you should be able to find their products. Now, a lot of you may be thinking this seems a little bit silly, but you know, I've been using this for a little bit over the last few days, and I'm actually kind of liking it. And the reason why is because it allows me to walk around free of the encumbrances of a tripod. You know, a lot of us photographers, we always struggle between whether or not we want to take that big old tripod with us or whether we want to leave it back. And we know that if we leave it back, well, then we run the risk of getting blurry shots because we can't handhold our longer exposures. Well, on the other hand, we know if we bring that tripod with us, it's going to weigh a lot and it's going to get in the way of walking through crowds and walking through cities and all of those other things. This is kind of the best hybrid solution that I've seen, where the system attaches to your waist. You can literally walk around with it attached to your waist just like you see here. And then when it comes time to support your camera for a longer exposure, you just pull the thing up, put it into position, and voila, you now have a pretty decent camera support. You know, I've been shooting photos with it, and the images I've been taking, I've been getting down to maybe a 15th of a second, sometimes a 30th of a second. And with my long lens here, I'm shooting this one here today. I've got my Nikon 200 to 500 millimeter lens, and I'm getting really sharp exposures while hand holding on the Steadify. That's pretty cool. In fact, that's very cool. So let me talk a little bit about how this Steadify works. You know, the idea here is that you can leave it down low. So you leave it down low like this when you're walking around, and it's kind of out of your way. It actually flexes and moves with you. Because it's on a belt, you can actually move it off to the side, just like you see here. Move it off to the side. So now you can really bend down, sit up, and it gets out of your way. And then when you're shooting with it, one of the cool things is there's a little lock lever right down here. So let's say that you are, I don't know, photographing at some type of sporting event or some type of air show, something like that. Well, you're gonna probably wanna just keep it in position, you know, as things are happening out there. So you can lock it into place. It stays in position like this. You can kind of wait for the action to happen. And then you can pull your camera up, take your picture, bam, 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 bring it down, and it just stays in position like this. Now, you're not gonna walk around like this, probably. I think it's, well, I don't know, maybe you would walk around it, but I probably wouldn't. It just looks a little bit funny. And you know, it's important to be socially appropriate when you're out on location, right? So you could leave it up like this when you're walking around, but I don't recommend it. I recommend just doing this little twist. In fact, there's 3 extension elements here, and so there's 3 little clicks. 1, 2, 3. Thing goes down. Then you lower your little lever down here, the lock lever, and it just drops. So you just leave it loose. That's my recommendation. Just leave it loose, walk around. Then when it comes time to shoot, well, you've already seen it. You just bring it up like that. Now, there, right up here on top, you might be interested to know, what is this thing that is supporting the camera? Well, it's kind of this cradle or yoke, and it's rubberized, and it actually is you can rotate it around. So let me bring it a little bit closer to the camera. You can see how that works there. So it's designed to do basically 2 things. Well, there's probably more than I'm thinking of, but the 2 things that come to mind for me are, 1, for your long lens photography. Now, when I use it for the long lens photography, I rotate the yoke or the cradle towards my body like that, and it just works perfect for this specific lens, and probably a lot of other lenses that you might be using too. Whereas the cradle goes right in between the zoom ring and the focus ring. So I get full control of both of those rings while still supporting the lens. Let's talk about some of the things that I like about this. You know, the first one is it's pretty lightweight. It just weighs a few ounces. So if you're the type of person who is averse to walking around with a tripod, I think you're gonna like this. You can see it actually folds up pretty small. You can put this in a camera bag. You can put it in your backpack, whatever you wanna do. Travel around with it. Another thing I like about it is it kind of forces you to take a pretty solid stance with your photography. And what I mean by that is, you know, because you are using a support system, you know, it encourages you to slow down a little bit. And I think that's important sometimes. Forces me to kind of solid up, you know, get a nice kind of a triangle approach. I got this going down to my waist, which is supporting almost all the weight from the camera. And then my arm here and my other arm here are supporting it laterally. It's actually a pretty solid platform to shoot from. Whenever I buy a new product, I have to make sure, for me, it has to fit within my photography system. In other words, I don't really want to change what I know works really well for me to you know, bring in a new tool. And in this case, the Steadify seems to work with the systems that I use. So, for example, I use the Peak Design leash and cuff system. So this works seamlessly with my camera strap. You know, I can hang the camera down like this. I can pull it all up and it all works together. I think that's fantastic. The next thing that goes through my mind is, you know, this thing fits on your waist, right? So does that preclude the use of a backpack? Well, I've tried it out and I'm happy to report that it works just fine with the backpack. So here I've got, what is this one? This is a Gear backpack. So yeah, I can keep the waist strap of the backpack here, and then the Steadify can be down below it. And then when I bring that up to shoot, you can see it all kind of works together. A shoulder bag. Now I have a ton of camera bags, like most of you photographers out there. We all have 10, 15, 20 camera bags. This is one. This is by a company called Think Tank, and this is the Speed Racer. And again, back to the same question. Let's say I'm walking around like this, and I've got this Think Tank on my back, and now this is kind of how I shoot a lot of times to keep the front of my body clear. Will the Steadify work with that? Bring that up. Yep. Sure enough, Steadify works with my Think Tank shoulder and waist bag. So up from my biggest camera backpack to my smallest little camera bags, the Steadify works in those systems. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the tool here, the head. So we've got this cradle, and it's a rubberized cradle. The way this connects here is it actually screws onto the top. It's like this. Well, we can replace that with anything like a ball head or, well, basically anything that'll screw onto a 1/4x20, all right? Now, I like this cradle, and I think if I end up buying this product to use on my own, I think I'm gonna use it with this cradle most of the time. That seems to give it the most flexibility for what I need. There is also a ball head option, and so let me show you how that works. So here's the ball head. You know, you can use any ball head that you want. This is the one that they sent me. So that just screws on here, all right? And then you can take your camera and put it right there into the Arca Swiss clamp, that, and now I can shoot with that ball head. Now, here's where I would use this. I would use a ball head if I was doing a little bit more video work. And so then what I can do is I can set up my camera like this. I can use it like a boom arm. I can flip out my flippy screen here, and as I'm shooting video, I can then, you know, be really steady, just like that. So, two options: the yoke, the Arca, or a regular ball head, and it all works seamlessly with the Steadify system. But when it comes down to it, I always have to ask myself the question: is this something that I would buy and use on my own? I think the answer is yes. You know, I own a ton of tripod and support equipment. This is a pretty new and innovative product. I like it how it fits on the waist. It's a conglomeration of a lot of different parts and products that I've used over the years. I like it. I think I'd use it. And I'll tell you where I would probably use it most. I would use it in 2 locations. One is birding. You know, I would go out to, say, to a bird sanctuary where I didn't want to bring my tripod, and I can just walk around with this all day. It's going to be super lightweight and easy to use. And then the second place is a location like an air show or maybe a car show where I'm on my feet all day long. It's crowded, lots of people around, and I don't want to mess with the tripod. But overall, I like it. It's well designed, it's sturdy, and again, I'm using a pre-production model here, so hopefully the final model is a little bit better finished than this one. The finish and the workmanship on this is solid. There's nothing on here that says cheap to me, which is important. So I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up, and you can find your own. You can Google Steadify. You can also go to their Kickstarter if you beat the deadline for their Kickstarter and support them. Just go to Kickstarter.com and enter Steadify, and it'll take you right there. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review. Keep on shooting.